Today we're going to be talking about the plastic in these older trucks, 20 years old, etc. Really any brand, any type of truck. But if you're new to the channel, you should have a look at my playlist. Click on the trucks or green truck playlist and see what got us to where we are today. I hope today's video helps you out. If it does, please don't forget to subscribe. Click that notification bell so you can see when I post my latest videos. And throw me a like, it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Let's get started. So as you're taking these pieces out, they're going to be unclipping from little metal clips like this, which many of them are either stuck inside of here, and as you're pulling, see if you can get close into there. You see that? Yeah, you should be able to see that. As you're pulling the plastic out of these pieces, like this piece here, occasionally they're going to snap. Either this piece is going to snap in half or this is going to snap off, and you've got to either epoxy, super glue, or plastic weld these pieces back together. Now, sometimes you'll get lucky, and then a piece like this, it'll come out perfectly. This happens to be the passenger side pillar. Everything came out fine without snapping. All of the plastic pieces that connect to the little metal pieces, like these here, that are inside the truck, these stay. This one here will be able to go back inside pretty simply. The only repair I need to do is right here, and that is to remove the metal bracket that is sitting inside the car now. I'm going to have to plastic weld that back onto here. Let's put this off to the side. These are the unfinished pieces. I've got 6 pieces left that I've got to paint and refinish for them to go back in. These are the ones that you saw me do last time, along with the long black piece there that's upside down that we're going to be working on today. Now, these pieces, when you take them out, have a habit of cracking. They're fragile, they're 20 years old. They break, they just do. So sometimes you'll get lucky and nothing will break, other times things will break, and this is a great way to fix them, so that way you can reuse the same thing instead of hunting for another one in a junkyard or paying hundreds of dollars on eBay, which is ridiculous for a 20-year-old piece of plastic. Now on this side, you see it didn't fare so well. This was actually broken and vibrating around inside the back of the truck. Epoxy this back onto here, and then I move fiberglass over the top to make sure it doesn't ever come back apart. On to the next piece. This piece here, this is the driver's pillar, and you can see that this piece here came out perfectly from that little bit of metal, like these, what I told you about. This piece came out perfectly, but as this piece was coming out, not only did this little piece of plastic snap off, which I'm going to make a new one of these out of epoxy, but the piece actually snapped in half. So I'm going to take super glue, put one drop here, and put these two pieces together. And that should hold it together enough to where I can burn this in to here, here, and here if it'll fit. Stick welding gun. We have 3 different types of these little staples right here. And it depends upon if it's an inner corner, an outer corner, or if it's actually going to be going across a gap. You can see kind of the picture here. So you slip the selected piece inside the gun here after you've plugged it up, and then you would pull the trigger, and there's a little LED on the top here that will go out when it's fully heated. But you'll also see this will turn bright red. This is kind of thick for some of the pieces that we're going to be using, so I don't know if it's going to work on this piece. I believe it'll work on this piece. I do have a smaller one. The smallest that this kit comes with, see if I can focus the camera in on that. The smallest the camera comes in is this. Now, my plan is to take 2 of these to go over the crack, one at the end of it and one in the middle of it, and that should bond the 2 pieces together permanently. And then you would take this and cut off the little extras, the little crappy flush cut. And then we're going to backfill everything to make sure it's extra sturdy with some fiberglass cloth and some fiberglass rest. The idea is just to make sure the crack doesn't spread. Now I should be able to clean this and put fiberglass across here, here, and here with the cloth. 2 layers of that. I don't think it's ever going to come apart again because this is not a moving piece. But this piece here goes behind the driver and the passenger seat, so someone's going to be leaning against it over and over and over again if they tilt that seat back, and enough pressure on this piece here, and it could start to separate and crack again. And that's the last thing I want to happen. So the stronger this piece is, the better. In the middle, I don't think anything's ever going to touch it, but on these 2 sides, I'd like to be better safe than sorry. By yourself, it's great to have some super glue. it's kind of like a tack weld. I'm going to be able to hold these two pieces together, and that way I can work with one hand holding the piece and the other hand with the plastic welder will do its job. So let's just take a couple little drops of this. Make sure it doesn't get on the front. We want it on the back side. And here. There we go. It's super glue, so kind of got to work fast. Let's take this. And that's it. We'll hold this together for a minute or two, and the super glue will do all the rest. So it looks like we've got a pretty good bond here. I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes and then check back in with you. All right, so this is now dry. As you can see, this is a very thin seam. It'll be just like this piece once we flip it over. Once this is sprayed, it should come out just like this where the cracks are. You may be able to see it in the corner here, but it's going to be so small and it's going to be black, I highly doubt it. All right, now we got to be very careful that we don't push it all the way through. Let's see if I can get you. I'm going to keep my thumb here because I do not want to go through this piece. I just want to go into it. So we're going to pull the trigger. The light's going to turn off. See it smoking, hopefully. And that little staple is going to turn bright red. Hopefully you guys can see that. It is bright red. And now I'm going to run it right across the crack. There we go. Now, normally that wouldn't catch fire, but it did just create some extra mess for me. And unfortunately, as you can see, it did push all the way through. So that is going to show. That's what I was worried about the larger staple. The reason why we're using this piece as a test and figuring out how to do this is because you'll notice this bottom piece here from the passenger side is missing from the driver's side. So this is the piece that runs down along the door frame. Due to the fact that this is missing, I've got a piece that I can try all this out on, and I've got a couple extra pieces of metal. So if it's a failure, it's a failure. It doesn't affect anything going in the car. Let's see how it goes. So now that this is solid, you can see it's completely embedded in the plastic. You take your flush cutters and give that a trim. You definitely want to be wearing some safety glasses. I actually have glasses on my face right now because those things fly off about 1,000,000 miles an hour. Now, we're going to give this another shot on the back side here because this one doesn't have a plastic piece in it. So let's see if we can do this better than the first time. And I am going to take the smaller piece this time because I believe that that is not going to go through. So let's see how we do. First try, the back came out fantastic. It pushed a little too far past on the front side, so that is not a success because you can see the damage. Let's see if we can do this without damaging it on the back side. So we're going to push the trigger. We're going to let the staple heat up and turn red. As you can see, it's red. And now we're just going to embed it lightly into the plastic, just like that. There we go. All right, that's a success. There's nothing showing on this side. This is embedded completely in the plastic on the back side. Now we just have to let that harden. So again, let's take our flush cutters, which these are not really flush cutters because that doesn't cut flush. See, that just hit me in the face, but I have glasses on, so it's not a big deal. So let's do this way. There it goes. These two pictures coming up now will show you why it's kind of important to be using eye protection, ear protection, things like that, etc. I mean, obviously you don't need ear protection for this type of job, but you do need eye protection. As you can see, I have glasses on. So if you don't wear glasses, you should definitely be wearing some sort of safety when you're cutting pieces with a clipper, side cutter, etc., things that can fly around. So as you're going to see in a second, a piece shot up when I was clipping the plastic weld bits off, and it shot up and it actually hit me in the ear. And you see me in the video, move my hand out of the screen. I was actually going to wipe my ear. I didn't know any better. But funny story, I walked inside to go and sit down and have dinner when I was done shooting these videos. And I was talking to my wife, and I turned my head this way, and you can see the blood is there. I have a little liquid bandage on there. But I turned my head this way, and my wife's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And I'm like, "What is what? What are you talking about?" She's like, "There's something sticking through your ear." And I'm like, "What?" and I go and I touch it, and sure enough, the little end, let me see if I have one of these here. There we go. I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can see it in the video. The little plastic ends of these pieces here, when you clip them off, they go firing off like a rocket. And one happened to go right through my ear, right here. So that's how much power it had from 3 or 4 feet away. I was clipping it down, you know, towards my waist, and I clipped it, and boom, it shot right through my ear. So please be careful out there using tools, people. Wear that eye protection and stay safe. Take a look at my new piercing, and then let's get back to the video. All right, that is permanently together. As far as this piece goes here, I'm going to use the smaller ones, and I'm going to run a couple across each one of the cracks, and then we'll be able to fiberglass all of these in one shot. All right, let's move this to our pile for right now. Let's get ourselves a couple of these. Okay. Now, same process. We take the staple, put it into the little holes, and the same thing. You just want to sink it into the plastic lightly so it does not go through the other side. So what we're going to do is let's find the crack here, pull the trigger, let it get red hot, and we're going to sink it into the plastic. Like so. Then you let it sit, finger off the trigger, and pull it off. And that did not go through the other side. So, let's get another one, do the exact same thing. Alright. So this has to be at the right angle, so when you pull it off, it comes straight out. So let's get it right across the crack, which is right here. Let's pull the trigger. It's red hot. Let's push it in. Let's let it sit. And pull it out. And once again, as you can see, well, you can't see anything. Allow me to show you, then you can see. All right, so if we pull this up here, you can see that what I just did not go through or leave any marks on this side, and it bridged this piece of plastic to this piece of plastic. You can't really see the crack here, but trust me, it's there. You can see it on the back here. So I don't think that's ever going to come apart with those two pieces of metal sticking out of there. Let's move on to the next piece, and then we'll flush cut all of them and give it a coating with the fiberglass. All right, let's try that again. Now this does put off a little bit of smoke when you're burning through, so you probably want to wear a dust mask. Since I'm talking, I'm not going to take the thing on and off, so I'm just trying not to breathe it in. All right, let's try this again. We're going to push the trigger. I'm going to let it turn red. Hopefully you guys can see that. We're going to sink it into the plastic just past itself. We're going to let go of the trigger and let it harden. There we go. Is a success. We've plastic welded all of those little cracks together. We're going to put this here to cool down. That actually cools down instantly. Unplug that. Now I'm going to let these harden for a minute here, so that way there's no chance of anything breaking back out when I snap off the little prongs. I'm going to snap off all the prongs, and then we're going to mix up some fiberglass resin. So this is turning out to be a pretty quick repair. I would say that it's definitely worth the $40 to go and pick one of those up, because even if you just did that, it's actually pretty solid. I don't see it going anywhere, because as you can see, the plastic melts over itself and the metal, making it completely one piece. Same with over here, and same with over here. So I don't see that coming back apart ever. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flush cut these real quick. So just putting your hand over it, because it does fly right into your face. There, one down. All right, there we go. So let's get the little metal pieces off of here so this doesn't scratch. We're gonna call that a win on this one. And technically, if I didn't use the big piece, this would be a win as well, because you see the small side here. Let's get into the light here. The small one here that went in is perfect. The bigger one, which is a little bit fatter, there wasn't enough space for it to go all the way through. So that didn't work. I'm gonna fix that though, and temporarily I'll use this if I get to putting the inside back together before I get a chance to swing over to a junkyard. If I don't, no big deal, I get another one. So the pieces that we're gonna fix with fiberglass are the following. This end here is going to be super glued on, and then some fiberglass run over the top. And this, and this are going to have the fiberglass as well. So let me clean this up, make myself some space, and we'll keep moving forward. All right, for those interested, as you can see, space is a premium in here. I don't have a lot of it anymore because I've got 2 cars pulled apart inside this 2-car garage, in addition to all of my tools and the stuff for our house, and Christmas decorations, holiday decorations, etc. So the cool part is, when your wife comes in the garage and says to you, you know, you should really get a storage unit and clear out your garage a little bit, it's embarrassing. I just stopped her right there, and I was like, that's an excellent idea. Let me get a U-Haul, pick up a storage unit, empty out the entire garage, and then let's do a garage upgrade. She said, yeah, that'll be great because then it will look good online. So my wife came up with a fantastic idea to clean. I know every guy right now is smiling, you know, like this. So basically everything's coming out of this garage, and I'm going to redo the floors, get a nice floor system in here, get some shelving and some benches to work on, some tool drawers, etc. And we're going to do a major garage overhaul. So I got 3 garages, it should come out pretty nice. And then all the other crap, you know, the house stuff, that's going into a storage unit so I don't have to see it anymore. So basically, we're going to call this the YouTube Garage Upgrade. And that's going to be a new playlist showing up within the next week. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Leave me a comment, leave me a like. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And thanks for joining the project. Let's get back to work. All right, let's mix up some fiberglass resin. You're gonna need an ounce of the resin and about 10 drops of the hardener. Put some more drops, it gets harder faster. Less drops, it gets harder slower. We wanna work pretty quick, so I may use a couple extra drops. We're gonna mix it into here. I'm gonna cut myself a piece of fiberglass cloth to go along with the size of this little damage, okay? And after I put the resin on here with a brush, I'm gonna put the cloth on, brush some resin back over it, let that dry. Everyone says do 2 or 3 layers, etc., etc., etc. I think 1 layer would probably do fine on there. I'm gonna see how it comes out. I will probably end up doing 2 layers because I have the space. But if you don't have the space and you're really just doing a piece of trim that you need to stay together, this is not a piece that's gonna be moving all the time. As long as it's strong, once it's mounted up in its place, nobody's gonna be pushing against this or moving against it. This one here will be leaned against with a chair over and over again if somebody puts their chair all the way back, or if the chair's leaning against the back, because it's a single cab truck. If it was a side or a piece of the side trim that no one touches, I don't think it would make a bit of a difference. So you do what you got to do, and I'll do what I got to do. There's more than one way to get this done. In the end, as long as you have fun while you're doing it and it comes out to your expectations, you're good to go. So, wow, that's a lot of cloth. Let me get a pair of scissors. As you can see, huge mess. So looking forward to cleaning this up. My son's actually having to work on the floor here because I have the whole other side taken. In the meantime, check out those seats. Man, they look good. We're gonna cut ourselves about 1.5 inches. So this is gonna lay over this one. This is gonna go over this one. Like so. And last but definitely not least, this is gonna go over this one. So you wanna make sure that the fabric is longer than whatever the crack is. That's the only thing that matters. So this way you have strength before, during, and after the crack to make it as strong as possible. Even though we've already got the metal through there, that's the right way to do it. All right, when we're done with this video, the next video is gonna be finishing off the Noiko sound deadener, which is over here. I'm going to explain the tools that you need and pretty simple how to, taking the Noiko sound deadener and taking care of the entire floor and the back wall of the single cab truck out there. So this is what I did in the black Tahoe, and it works fantastic. It makes it sound like a tank or a Lexus, whichever one you like better. Personally, I prefer a tank, but that's just me. So, same thing. We're gonna take this, use the magic goo, clean off anywhere that is going to be touching. All right, same with this. So we're still gonna have to clean these in full because they need to be painted with the vinyl and fabric so they match that and that. But for today, we're just working on the cracks. Gotta fix your crack. All right. So this just glues right onto here like this. So I'm gonna take the super glue. I'm gonna bond this piece to this, back to this piece where it belongs. So let's take here. You don't need a ton of this stuff. Just a little dab will do you. There we go. All right, we're gonna hold this onto here. Boom, like so. Give it a little, gonna give that a little pressure for a minute or two. Gotta love super glue. Makes life so simple. All right, and that's bonded. So we're gonna let this sit off to the side and dry. Let's get this right there like that. I'm gonna let that dry while I mix up some fiberglass. To do the fiberglass is pretty simple. You're gonna need a nail or something sharp to pop a hole in the hardener. The resin, good to go. You need an ounce to 10 drops, or a little bit of resin, a bunch of drops, mix it up. Just make sure you have at least enough to make it solid. Anything less and it's just gonna make a gooey mess. So we're gonna use the bigger brush on this one. So let's open this one up. Got a little tongue depressor to mix this thing around. So let's put a little bit of this. That should do. Okay. Cap that up. We got our resin in here. We have our fabric next to each one of our cracks. There we go. Ooh, look at that. Slice my finger open. All right. Just need something to push through the cap here. That'll work. There we go. Let's get that out of the way. All right, now you need about 10 drops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're gonna do 12. All right. Now we're gonna mix this up. All right, now you don't have a ton of time to work with this stuff, so let's get it brushed in. Take the brush, coat the tip, and get this nice and solid with the goo. So, same thing for this one. Just be careful with this stuff because it makes a sticky, sticky mess. You do not want it anywhere on the finished part of what you're working on. There we go. Now, let's get our piece stuck into there, like so. This is not rocket science. Into here. So once this is done, you're just going to clip off the excess. Let's get this piece into here. So the goal is to keep it as flat as possible and then just continue brushing over it with your resin. So we're going to add more resin, go right over the top of this, get it nice and thick, and just keep it away from the clean side of your project. Once again, brush it right up against the metal prongs that we put in there. It's good. Same here. You can see it's already starting to harden. So we just want to go over the fabric, because that fabric is what's going to give the strength to this plastic. Of course, in addition to the metal pins I put in it. But if you were only using the fabric and the resin, that would do the job just fine. And I'm bleeding like a stuck pig because I cut myself on the little pin. So we'll fix that later. Let's add this into here. There. Okay. You just want to soak the fabric, get it stuck to what's beneath it. That way it can become one with the plastic. Not my prettiest job ever, but it'll work. As you can see, the fiberglass is drying. I'm going to let this dry overnight and then move on to cleaning up the last few pieces and get them colored like the other pieces that we did the day before. Because we're almost done with the interior color swap. Thanks for joining along. That's going to be the end of today's video. If you could, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when my next video comes out, throw me a like, leave me a comment down below, and if you need to know what I used in this video, I'm going to leave everything in the description box below. Thanks again for joining the project, and when you get a chance, hit that playlist, take a look at what I did before this if you're new to the channel. Thanks, and have a great day.